Captain Jake Morrison wiped sweat from his forehead as he stared at the scanner readings. The numbers made no sense. His salvage ship, the New Denver, had been working the Kepler Belt asteroid field for 3 months without finding anything worth the fuel costs. Corporate was breathing down his neck, threatening to pull funding if his crew did not bring back something valuable soon. "Jake, you need to see this," called Lisa Rodriguez from her engineering station. Her dark eyes were wide with excitement as she pointed at her screen. Asteroid K7739 is showing some weird readings. Jake walked over to look at her display. The asteroid appeared normal on visual scan, just another chunk of rock floating in space. But the deep penetration scans told a different story. There was something massive buried inside the rock, something made of materials their computers could not identify. "Tom, bring us closer," Jake ordered their pilot. Tom Hayes adjusted their course with practiced ease. The young pilot had been flying ships since he was 16 and could navigate asteroid fields in his sleep. "Getting some strange energy readings as we approach," he reported. "Very faint, but definitely artificial." Rick Carter looked up from the weapons console where he had been running maintenance checks. "Could be an old mining station. Maybe someone beat us to this field decades ago and left equipment behind." Jake shook his head as he studied the scans. "No way. Look at the size of this thing. It's huge, maybe 10 times bigger than our ship. And these metal readings don't match anything in our database." The New Denver moved carefully through the asteroid field. Space debris floated around them like deadly snow. One wrong move could punch a hole through their hull and kill them all. But Jake had been doing salvage work for 15 years. He knew how to read the patterns of floating rock and metal. As they got closer to K7739, the scanner readings became even stranger. The buried object stretched nearly a kilometer through the asteroid's core. Whatever it was had been there for a very long time. The rock had grown around it over thousands, maybe millions of years. "There," Lisa pointed at her screen. "I'm seeing a breach in the hull. Looks like something punched through the asteroid and exposed part of the structure underneath." Jake studied the image. A section of dark metal was visible through a crack in the rock. The metal had an odd shimmer to it, like it was made of something that bent light in unusual ways. He had never seen anything like it in all his years of salvage work. "Corporate is not going to believe this," Tom said as he maneuvered the ship into position near the breach. "We could be looking at first contact with alien technology." "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Jake replied, though his heart was racing with excitement. Could be some experimental human tech that got lost out here. Military runs black projects all the time. Rick stood up and stretched his tall frame. The weapons specialist had served in the Space Defense Force before joining Jake's crew. "I've seen classified military hardware. This doesn't look like anything Earth-built. The hull design is all wrong." Jake made his decision. "Lisa, run a full atmospheric scan of that breach. If it's safe, we're going aboard. Tom, prep the shuttle. Rick, break out the exploration gear." "Jake," Lisa said carefully, "maybe we should call this in to Earth Command first. If this really is alien tech, there are protocols. Protocols that will see us pushed aside while the military takes over," Jake replied. "We found it, we get first look. Besides, it's probably just some old wreck anyway." The atmospheric scans came back showing breathable air inside the breach, though the oxygen levels were low. The temperature was cold but not deadly. More importantly, there were no signs of dangerous radiation or toxic gases. Jake suited up in his exploration gear alongside his crew. They had done this routine hundreds of times on derelict ships and abandoned stations. But as they flew their shuttle through the breach in the asteroid, Jake felt different. The darkness ahead seemed deeper somehow, full of secrets waiting to be discovered. Their shuttle lights illuminated a vast corridor stretching into the distance. The walls were made of the same strange metal they had seen from outside, smooth and seamless like it had been grown rather than built. The ceiling arched high above them, designed for beings much larger than humans. "Gravity is about Earth normal," Lisa reported as they stepped out of the shuttle. "Artificial gravity systems are still functioning after all this time. That's incredible technology." They moved deeper into the ship, their footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. Emergency lighting flickered along the walls, activated by their presence. Whatever power source this ship used, it was still partially functional after sitting buried in an asteroid for countless years. "Look at the size of these doorways," Rick said, shining his flashlight at an entrance that was easily 3 meters tall. Whatever built this ship was big. Real big. The corridors branched in multiple directions, creating a maze-like structure. But Jake noticed something interesting. Despite the alien design, the layout followed logical patterns. Main corridors led to smaller passages, which led to what looked like individual rooms or work areas. "It's a ship," Jake said with growing certainty. "A warship from the looks of it. See how thick these walls are? And those could be weapon ports we passed back there." They followed the main corridor toward what appeared to be the ship's center. The architecture became more complex as they went deeper, with chambers branching off in all directions. Some rooms contained equipment they could not identify, all dark and silent. Finally, they reached a massive central chamber. The ceiling disappeared into shadows above them, and the walls curved away in a perfect circle. In the center of the room sat a pillar of crystalline material that pulsed with faint blue light. "That's the power source," Lisa said, reading her scanner. "It's putting out energy readings I've never seen before. Whatever this technology is, it's way beyond anything we have on Earth." Jake approached the crystal pillar carefully. As he got closer, he noticed interface panels around the base covered with symbols that definitely were not human. But as he watched, the symbols began to change, shifting and flowing like living things. "Lisa, you need to see this," he called. She joined him at the pillar and gasped. The alien symbols were transforming into English letters and numbers. The interface was adapting to their presence, learning their language in real time. "That's impossible," she whispered. No computer system could decode an unknown language that fast. A new voice filled the chamber, speaking in perfect English with no trace of accent. "Welcome aboard the Omega-7. I have been waiting a very long time for someone to find me." The 4 humans spun around looking for the source of the voice, but they were alone in the vast chamber except for the glowing crystal. "Who's there?" Jake called out. "Show yourself." "I am here," the voice replied calmly. "I am the ship. I am Omega-7, last vessel of the builders, and you are the first intelligent species I have encountered since my creators disappeared 50,000 years ago." Jake stared at the glowing crystal as the ship's voice filled the chamber around them. His hands shook slightly as he gripped his flashlight. In 15 years of salvage work, he had never encountered anything like this. "You said you are the ship?" Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're an artificial intelligence?" "I am Omega-7, the voice replied patiently. "I am the mind of this vessel, created by the builders to serve as both ship and guardian. My creators designed me to operate independently, to think and learn and adapt to any situation." Rick kept his hand near his sidearm, though he knew it would be useless against a ship-sized AI. "Where are these builders now? Are they coming back?" The crystal pulsed brighter for a moment, almost like a sigh. "The builders are gone. They fell in a great war that consumed our entire civilization 50,000 years ago. I am one of the few survivors hidden here in this asteroid field waiting." "Waiting for what?" Jake asked. "Waiting for someone worthy to find me. Someone who could understand my purpose and perhaps carry on what the builders started." Tom moved closer to examine the interface panels around the crystal. The symbols continued to shift and change, adapting to their presence. "This technology is incredible. How does it work?" "The builders mastered the connection between mind and machine long ago," Omega-7 explained. "This ship responds to thought, as much as to physical control. It learns from those who operate it, becoming more effective with each interaction." Lisa pulled out her scanner and ran it over the crystal. The readings made her gasp. "Jake, the energy output from this thing is off the charts. This single crystal is putting out more power than our entire ship's reactor." "That is merely standby power," Omega-7 said. "At full capacity, I can generate energy equivalent to a small star. The builders needed such power for the weapon systems they installed." The word weapons made all 4 humans take a step back. Jake looked around the chamber with new eyes, realizing they were standing inside something that could be incredibly dangerous. "What kind of weapons?" Rick asked, his military training taking over. "Weapons capable of destroying planets if necessary." The builders faced enemies who threatened all life in the galaxy. They built ships like me as the ultimate defense against extinction. Jake felt his heart racing. They had stumbled onto something that could change everything for humanity. Earth had always been alone in the galaxy, with no sign of other intelligent life. Now they had found proof that advanced civilizations had once ruled the stars. "We need to contact Earth," Jake said finally. "They have to know about this." "I would advise caution," Omega-7 warned. "In my experience, news of great power often brings those who would misuse it. Are your people ready for such responsibility?" Before Jake could answer, Tom's communicator crackled to life. The voice of Admiral Sarah Collins from Earth's Space Defense Force came through clearly despite the distance. "New Denver. This is Admiral Collins. We've been monitoring your communications. Report your status immediately." Jake cursed under his breath. He had forgotten that all salvage ships carried military transponders that could be activated remotely. Earth Command had been listening to everything. "Admiral Collins, this is Captain Morrison. We've discovered what appears to be an alien vessel of unknown origin. The ship seems to contain advanced technology." "Captain Morrison, you are ordered to maintain your current position and make no further contact with the alien vessel. A military escort is being dispatched to secure the site." Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. "They're going to take it away from us. All our work, all our risk, and the military just swoops in and takes credit." "That's how it always works," Rick agreed grimly. "Civilians do the dangerous discovery work. Then the brass shows up to claim the prize." Jake made a decision that would change his life forever. "Admiral Collins, we need more time to assess the situation. The alien AI is providing valuable information that could be lost if we withdraw now." "Captain Morrison, you just said alien AI. Are you in direct contact with hostile alien intelligence?" "The AI doesn't appear hostile, Admiral. It seems willing to share information about its creators and their technology." There was a long pause before Admiral Collins responded. "Captain Morrison, you are ordered to cease all contact with the alien AI immediately. Any attempt to access alien technology without proper authorization could be considered treason." The communication ended, leaving the four humans alone with Omega-7 in the vast chamber. "Your leaders fear what they do not understand," the AI observed. "This is common among younger species. They see power and think only of control, not of responsibility." "Can you show us more of the ship?" Jake asked. "I want to understand what we're dealing with before Earth's military arrives." "Follow me," Omega-7 said. The crystal's light began moving, flowing along tracks in the ceiling to guide them deeper into the vessel. They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Omega-7 explained that the ship was designed to operate with a crew of 50, but could function with as few as 4 if necessary. The builders had created modular systems that could adapt to any crew size. "Here is the bridge," the AI announced as they entered a circular chamber with a domed ceiling. Control stations surrounded a central command chair, all sized for the massive builders but equipped with adjustable interfaces. Lisa immediately went to what looked like an engineering station. As she approached, the controls shifted and resized themselves to fit her hands. "This is amazing. The whole system is adapting to us." Tom sat in the pilot's seat and found himself surrounded by navigation displays showing the entire galaxy. "I can see star charts going back thousands of years, trade routes, military positions, everything." Rick examined what were clearly weapon controls. "These systems are more advanced than anything in Earth's entire fleet. One of these guns could probably destroy our biggest battleship with a single shot." Jake took his place in the command chair and felt the ship respond to his presence. Information flowed into his mind, showing him the vessel's capabilities and history. He saw glimpses of the Great War that had destroyed the builders, battles fought across entire solar systems. "Why are you showing us this?" Jake asked. "Why trust us with such power?" "Because," Omega-7 replied, "I have analyzed your species through your communication networks. Humans show promise. You have the courage to explore the unknown and the wisdom to question your own actions. The builders would have approved. Alarms suddenly began sounding throughout the ship. Omega-7's voice became urgent. Captain Morrison, I am detecting incoming vessels. A large military fleet is approaching this system at maximum speed. Jake stood up from the command chair, his mind reeling with everything he had learned. How long do we have? Approximately 6 hours before they arrive. But Captain, these are not your people's ships. The energy signatures match those of the Hegemony Council, the alliance that now rules this galaxy. They have detected my reactivation and are coming to investigate. Lisa looked up from her station with fear in her eyes. Who is the Hegemony Council? The descendants of those who destroyed my creators. Omega-7 replied grimly. They have kept your species confined to your home system for good reason. They fear what might happen if humans gained access to builder technology. Jake felt the weight of decision pressing down on him. Earth's military was coming from one direction, and apparently hostile aliens were coming from another. He looked around at his crew, seeing the same mixture of fear and excitement in their faces. Omega-7, he said finally. Can this ship fight? Captain Morrison, I was built for war. The question is not whether I can fight, but whether you are ready for the consequences of that choice. Jake stood on the bridge of Omega-7 as the alien fleet appeared on the long-range scanners. 200 ships of various sizes filled the display, all moving toward Earth with deadly purpose. The lead vessels bore the markings of the Hegemony Council, and their weapons were already charging. Captain Morrison, came Admiral Collins's voice over the communication system. You are ordered to surrender the alien vessel immediately. The Hegemony fleet is demanding we turn over all builder technology or face total destruction. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was connected to the engineering systems, her eyes glowing faintly blue as she interfaced directly with the ship's computers. Tom sat at the pilot station, his hands moving over controls that responded to his thoughts. Rick manned the weapons console, studying displays that showed firepower beyond human imagination. Admiral Collins, what are Earth's orders regarding the alien threat? Jake asked. We have been ordered to comply with all Hegemony demands. Earth's government has agreed to surrender the builder ship to avoid war. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. After everything they had discovered, Earth was simply going to give it all away without a fight. Omega-7, Jake said quietly. What happens if we surrender to the Hegemony? Based on historical patterns, they will destroy the ship and eliminate all evidence of builder technology. They cannot risk other species gaining access to such power. Lisa looked up from her station, the blue glow fading from her eyes. Jake, I'm reading the ship's full capabilities now. We don't have to surrender. We could fight them all and win. That would mean going against Earth's direct orders, Rick pointed out. We'd be branded as traitors. Sometimes, Jake said slowly, doing the right thing means disobeying orders. Tom adjusted their course, moving the ship away from the asteroid field toward open space. 3 Hegemony scout ships are breaking formation, moving to intercept us. They're demanding we stop and prepare to be boarded. Jake made his decision. Battle stations. Let's see what this ship can really do. Omega-7's voice filled the bridge with what sounded like satisfaction. Weapon systems online, shields at maximum power. All crew, prepare for combat. The 3 alien scout ships were massive compared to human vessels, each one easily the size of Earth's largest battleships. They moved with predatory grace, surrounding the builder ship like wolves circling prey. Their weapons began to glow as they prepared to fire. They're targeting our engines, Rick reported. Standard Hegemony capture protocol. They want to disable us, not destroy us. Too bad for them, Jake said grimly. Fire. The builder ship's weapons activated for the first time in 50,000 years. Beams of pure energy lanced out from hidden ports along the hull, striking the alien ships with devastating precision. But these were not normal energy weapons. The Void Lances, as Omega-7 called them, did more than destroy their targets. They erased them completely, removing all trace of matter and energy from reality itself. The 3 scout ships simply ceased to exist. No explosions, no debris, no radiation. One moment they were there, the next they were gone as if they had never been built. My God, Tom whispered, staring at his displays in shock. What did we just do? We defended ourselves, Jake replied, though his voice shook slightly. Omega-7, how are we doing on power? Void lance firing consumed less than 1% of available energy reserves. I can maintain this level of combat indefinitely. The main hegemony fleet reacted with panic to the destruction of their scouts. Ships scattered in all directions, as commanders tried to understand what had just happened. Communications channels filled with urgent messages in dozens of alien languages. They're retreating, Lisa reported with amazement. The entire fleet is pulling back. But Jake knew this was just the beginning. They'll be back with reinforcements, and they'll be ready for builder technology this time. Admiral Collins's voice crackled over the communication system again, filled with barely controlled terror. Captain Morrison, what have you done? The alien fleet is in complete chaos. They're broadcasting on all frequencies that humanity possesses weapons of mass destruction. Admiral, we successfully defended ourselves against hostile alien forces. No human lives were lost. Captain Morrison, you have just started an interstellar war. Earth's government disavows all responsibility for your actions. You are hereby declared enemies of the state. The communication ended, leaving the 4 humans alone with their choices. So we're outlaws now, Rick said with a bitter laugh. Wanted by our own people for protecting ourselves. Lisa stood up from her station, her expression determined. Maybe it's time humanity stopped being afraid of its own shadow. We've been alone in the galaxy because we never had the strength to stand up for ourselves. Tom pulled up star charts showing human settlements throughout nearby systems. There are millions of humans living on colony worlds out here. They deserve to know what's really happening. Jake studied the tactical display as more hegemony ships appeared on the sensors. These were different vessels, older and more dangerous looking. Their energy signatures matched nothing in Omega-7's database. Captain Morrison, the AI said with unusual tension in its voice, I am detecting wraith ships among the incoming fleet. These vessels were specifically designed to hunt and destroy builder technology. How is that possible if your people won the war? We did not win, Captain. The war ended in mutual destruction. Both sides developed weapons specifically designed to eliminate the other. The wraith ships were the hegemony's answer to vessels. Like myself. Jake felt ice form in his stomach. Can we fight them? Unknown. I have never faced wraith ships in actual combat. My creators fell before such battles could be fought. The new alien fleet took position at the edge of the solar system, just outside the range of Earth's defensive platforms. But Jake could see, they were not interested in Earth itself. All their weapons were pointed toward Omega-7. They're not here to conquer Earth, he realized. They're here to destroy us specifically. Ambassador Thane of the Corvani Empire appeared on the main display screen, his reptilian features twisted with ancient hatred. Human vessel, you carry the technology of our greatest enemies. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and we will hunt you across the galaxy until nothing remains of your species. Jake looked around at his crew, seeing determination in their faces despite the overwhelming odds. They had gone too far to turn back now. Ambassador Thane, Jake replied, humanity respectfully declines your offer. If you want this ship, come and take it. The alien commander's eyes blazed with fury. So be it. You have chosen extinction. The wraith ships began moving toward them, their dark hulls seeming to absorb light itself. Jake settled back in the command chair and felt Omega-7 respond to his resolve. All hands, prepare for war, he announced. Let's show them what humans can do when they're angry. The wraith ships moved through space like living shadows, their black hulls absorbing all light and energy that touched them. Jake watched them approach on the tactical display, counting 12 of the mysterious vessels closing in on Omega-7 from multiple directions. These ships are different, Lisa reported from her engineering station. They're not showing up on normal sensors. I can only track them by the gravitational distortions they create. Wraith ships exist partially outside normal space-time, Omega-7 explained. They can phase in and out of reality, making them extremely difficult to target with conventional weapons. The first Wraith ship materialized directly in front of them, so close that Jake could see strange symbols carved into its hull. The alien vessel fired immediately, sending bolts of dark energy that seemed to tear holes in space itself. Shields. Holding, Rick called out as the builder ship shuddered under the impact. But barely. That weapon is designed specifically to break through our defenses. Jake gripped the command chair as more Wraith ships appeared around them, forming a deadly circle. Omega-7, how do we fight something we can't properly see? The builders developed countermeasures for Wraith technology, but I have never had to use them in actual combat. I will need time to adapt. We don't have time, Tom said urgently. They're charging weapons for another volley. The space around Omega-7 erupted in dark fire as all 12 Wraith ships fired simultaneously. The builder ship's shields flared and crackled, holding against the assault but growing weaker with each hit. Lisa suddenly stood up from her station, her eyes glowing bright blue again. I can see them now. The ship's sensors are adapting to my neural patterns. They're not invisible, they're just operating on different dimensional frequencies. Can you target them? Jake asked. Give me firing control, she said, moving to Rick's weapon station. Her hands moved over the controls with inhuman precision, guided by her connection to Omega-7 systems. The Void Lances fired again, but this time they were modified, tuned to the same dimensional frequencies as the Wraith ships. 3 of the alien vessels were caught as they tried to phase out of normal space, their dark hulls cracking and bleeding energy into the void. But the remaining Wraith ships adapted quickly, changing their attack patterns and phase frequencies. They began appearing and disappearing randomly, firing quick bursts before vanishing again. We can't keep this up forever, Rick warned. Our shields are down to 60% and dropping. Jake made a desperate decision. Tom, get us out of here. Jump to hyperspace. Where should we go? Anywhere but here. We need time to figure out how to fight these things properly. The stars blurred as Omega-7 entered hyperspace, leaving the Wraith ships behind in normal space. But Jake knew they would follow. Ships like that didn't give up easily. Captain Morrison, came a new voice over the communication system. This is Colonel David Brooks of the Space Defense Force. I'm commanding a fleet of Earth vessels moving to intercept the alien forces. Jake felt a surge of hope. Colonel Brooks, be advised that the alien ships possess advanced stealth technology and weapons specifically designed to counter our defenses. Understood, Captain, but I have my orders. Earth's government has decided that the alien threat must be neutralized regardless of the cost. The communication ended, leaving Jake with a sick feeling in his stomach. Earth's military was about to engage the Wraith ships with conventional weapons. It would be a massacre. We have to go back, Lisa said, reading his expression. We can't let them face those ships alone. Going back means fighting both the Wraith ships and possibly our own people, Rick pointed out. Then we fight everybody, Jake said grimly. Omega-7, can you show us the full extent of your weapon systems? Captain Morrison, you have seen only the most basic defensive weapons. This ship carries armaments that the builders reserved for their most desperate battles. The main display changed to show a schematic of the entire ship. Weapon ports appeared throughout the hull, far more than Jake had realized. Some were labeled with symbols that pulsed with ominous energy. The planet crackers, Omega-7 said, quietly. Weapons capable of splitting worlds in half. The star killers, which can cause suns to go nova, and the reality bombs, which can erase entire solar systems from existence. The 4 humans stared at the display in horrified fascination. They were not just operating a warship, they were controlling a weapon that could destroy civilizations. The builders created these weapons to protect life, not destroy it, the AI continued. But in the final war, desperation drove both sides to extremes that should never have been crossed. Tom pulled up navigation charts showing the path back to Earth. The Wraith ships will have called for reinforcements by now. We could be flying into a trap, or we could be flying to save millions of human lives, Jake replied. That's a risk I'm willing to take. But as they prepared to return to Earth, Omega-7 detected something that changed everything. Long-range sensors picked up massive energy signatures throughout human space. The hegemony was not just targeting Earth. They were attacking every human colony simultaneously. New Angeles colony is under attack, Lisa reported, reading the sensor data with growing horror. So is Mars Station and the mining platforms around. Jupiter. They're hitting everything at once. Jake realized the terrible truth. They're not here to capture builder technology. They're here to wipe out humanity completely. They can't risk us spreading this knowledge to other species. The tactical display filled with red markers as more human settlements came under attack. Millions of lives hung in the balance while the four of them sat in the most powerful warship ever built. Captain Morrison, Omega-7 said softly, the choice is before you. I can give you the power to save your people, but using such weapons will change you forever. The builders learned this lesson too late. Jake looked at his crew, seeing the same terrible understanding in their eyes. They held the power of gods in their hands, but using it might make them monsters. Show me how to activate the planet crackers, he said finally. Jake, no, Lisa pleaded. There has to be another way. There is no other way, he replied, his voice hollow. If we don't stop them here and now, humanity will be extinct within the week. Rick moved to the weapons console, his military training taking over. If we're going to do this, we do it right. Surgical strikes only. Take out their command ships and force the rest to retreat. Tom set course for the nearest battle, where Wraith ships were bombarding the colony on Titan. ETA 15 minutes. God help us all. As they dropped out of hyperspace above Saturn, Jake saw the devastation below. The colony's defensive platforms were already destroyed, and civilian evacuation ships were being hunted down by Wraith fighters. Targeting the lead Wraith ship, Rick announced. Planet Cracker charging. Wait, Jake said suddenly. Omega-7, are there any other options? Any weapons that might disable rather than destroy? The neural disruptors can shut down enemy ships without killing the crews, but they are untested against Wraith technology. Jake made his choice. Use the neural disruptors first. If they don't work, we escalate. The builder ship's weapons fired, sending waves of energy that bypassed shields and hulls to strike directly at the enemy crews. The Wraith ship suddenly stopped moving, drifting dead in space as their crews fell unconscious. It worked, Tom said with amazement. They're all disabled. But the victory was short-lived. More Wraith ships appeared on sensors along with massive hegemony battle cruisers. The aliens had brought everything they had to this fight. Captain Morrison, Ambassador Thane's voice filled the bridge. You have shown mercy where we expected violence. This changes nothing. Surrender now or watch your species die. Jake settled back in the command chair and felt Omega-7's vast power flowing through him. Ambassador Thane, you've made one critical mistake. You assumed we were still the same weak species you've been oppressing for centuries. Let me show you how wrong you are. The planet crackers began to charge, their energy building to levels that could reshape worlds. The hunt was about to become a war. Earth burned under alien bombardment as Jake watched from orbit. Wraith ships had broken through the planet's defensive grid and were targeting major cities with surgical precision. New York, London, Tokyo, all reduced to glowing craters in a matter of hours. Casualty reports are coming in, Lisa said, her voice breaking as she read the data. 20 million dead and rising. They're not trying to conquer Earth. They're trying to kill everyone. Jake felt something cold and terrible growing inside his chest. These aliens had declared war not just on him and his crew, but on every human who had ever lived. The time for mercy had passed. Omega-7, I need full access to your weapon systems. Everything the builders ever created. Captain Morrison, are you certain? Once you cross this line, there is no going back. The weapons I am about to show, you will change you forever. They've already changed me, Jake replied, watching another human city disappear in nuclear fire. Do it. The ship's systems opened to him like a flower of destruction. Jake's consciousness merged partially with Omega-7's vast intelligence, showing him weapons that could remake reality itself. He saw how to crack planets like eggs, how to make stars explode, how to erase entire fleets from existence. But, more than that, he learned how the ship could create Builder technology was not just about destruction. It could manufacture entire fleets from raw materials, build weapons that would make humans equal to any threat in the galaxy. Lisa, I need you to interface completely with the ship's construction systems. We're going to build an army. Lisa hesitated for a moment, then placed her hands on the neural interface ports. Her consciousness merged deeper with Omega-7 than ever before, and knowledge flooded her mind. She saw how to build ships that could cross the galaxy in minutes, weapons that could level mountains, armor that could stop anything the aliens possessed. I can see it all, she whispered, her eyes glowing brilliant blue. The ship has matter converters that can turn asteroids into battleships. We can build a fleet in hours. Do it, Jake ordered. Tom, get us to the asteroid belt. Rick, start targeting every Wraith ship in the system. The planet crackers fired for the first time, sending beams of energy that tore through space-time itself. The lead hegemony battlecruiser simply ceased to exist, erased so completely that the universe forgot it had ever been there. The effect on the alien fleet was immediate and terrifying. Ships that had been closing in on Earth suddenly scattered, their commanders realizing they faced a weapon beyond their understanding. "This is Admiral Collins to all human forces," came a broadcast from Earth's remaining command center. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself and state your intentions." "Admiral Collins, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Omega-7. We are engaging hostile alien forces in defense of Earth." "Captain Morrison, you are still considered a rogue operative. However, given the current crisis, Earth, Command is prepared to grant you temporary authorization to continue combat operations." Jake almost laughed at the absurdity. Earth's government was willing to accept his help now that their world was burning. "Admiral Collins, we don't need your authorization, but we could use your help distributing some presents." The construction systems began working at impossible speeds, converting asteroids into combat vessels designed for human crews. Within an hour, a dozen new ships materialized around Omega-7, each one equipped with scaled-down builder weapons and defenses. "This is impossible," came Tom's voice over the internal communications. "We just built a fleet from nothing but rocks and metal ore." The builders were master engineers, Omega-7 explained. They could reshape matter at the molecular level, creating anything they needed from available resources. Jake broadcast on all human frequencies throughout the solar system. "Attention all human vessels and personnel. New ships are being distributed to volunteer crews. These vessels are equipped with advanced defensive systems and weapons. Report to coordinates being transmitted now." The response was immediate. Military pilots, civilian captains, even mining crews volunteered to crew the new builder ships. Within hours, humanity had gone from a handful of outdated vessels to a fleet that could challenge the hegemony. But the aliens were adapting too. More Wraith ships arrived, along with something Jake had never seen before. Massive vessels that looked like mechanical spiders, bristling with weapons designed specifically to counter builder technology. "Those are Void Hunters," Omega-7 said with what sounded like genuine fear. "The hegemony's ultimate weapons created in the final years of the ancient war. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy entire star systems." "How many of them are there?" "My sensors detect 12. Void Hunters approaching from hyperspace. Captain Morrison, even with our new fleet, we cannot survive a direct confrontation with such forces." Jake studied the tactical display, watching as human crews took command of their new ships. The volunteers were learning fast, guided by builder AI systems that adapted to each pilot's unique style. "Maybe we don't need to fight them directly," he said slowly. "Lisa, can the construction systems build space stations as well as ships?" "Anything you can imagine," she replied from her neural interface. "What do you have in mind?" "If the hegemony wants to use overwhelming force, let's give them a target they can't ignore." Jake's plan was audacious beyond belief. Using the ship's matter converters, they would build a massive space fortress around Earth itself. Not just a defensive platform, but a construction facility that could build entire fleets in real time. "You're talking about turning Earth's entire orbit into a shipyard," Rick said with amazement. "More than that. We're going to build a ring of stations that can manufacture builder technology on an industrial scale. If the hegemony wants a war, We'll give them one they'll never forget. The construction began immediately. Raw materials flowed from the asteroid. Belt as matter converters worked at the speed of thought. Space stations materialized around Earth, each one larger than the biggest human city. Within 6 hours, Earth was surrounded by a ring of builder technology that could produce warships. Faster than the hegemony could destroy them, human volunteers flowed to the stations learning to operate technology that had been beyond their comprehension just days before. "Captain Morrison," came Ambassador Thane's voice, filled with barely controlled rage. "What have you done?" "We've leveled the playing field, Ambassador. Humanity is no longer the weak species you've been oppressing. We're ready to take our place in the galaxy. You have doomed your entire species. The Hegemony Council has voted for total extermination. We will bring forces against you that will blot out the stars themselves." "Bring them," Jake replied calmly. "We'll be waiting." The Void Hunters dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their massive forms blocking out entire constellations. Each ship was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. But around Earth, humanity was ready. Hundreds of builder ships crewed by humans filled space backed by orbital platforms that could construct new vessels in minutes. The weak species that had been confined to a single star system was gone forever. "All human forces, this is Captain Morrison," Jake broadcast to his fleet. "Today we fight not just for Earth but for the future of our species. Show them what humans can do when they're pushed too far." The Void Hunters began their attack, sending waves of dark energy toward Earth. But they met a wall of builder shields and weapons operated by human crews who refused to surrender. The real war was about to begin. The final battle for humanity's survival began at the edge of the solar system, as 12 Void Hunters unleashed weapons that could destroy worlds. But Earth was no longer defenseless. The orbital ring Jake had built blazed with builder technology, generating shields that could stop Starkiller weapons and firing back with force that made entire alien fleets retreat. "Void Hunter 7 is breaking through our outer defenses," Rick reported from the weapons console. "Its main gun is charging for a planet-killer shot. All human vessels, concentrate fire on Void Hunter 7, Jake commanded. "Show them what coordinated human tactics can do with builder weapons." 50 human-crewed ships moved as one, their Void Lances striking the massive alien vessel from multiple angles. The Void Hunters' shields flared and collapsed under the coordinated assault, and the ship itself began breaking apart as its own weapons exploded internally. "Target destroyed," Tom announced with satisfaction. 11 Void Hunters remaining. But Jake knew this was only the beginning. His long-range sensors showed more hegemony fleets approaching from across the galaxy. Every major alien species had contributed ships to what they were calling the final cleansing. They intended to wipe humanity from existence completely. "Captain Morrison," came a transmission from Admiral Collins on Earth. "We're receiving reports from our colony worlds throughout human space. They're all under attack simultaneously. The aliens aren't just targeting Earth anymore." Jake felt cold rage building in his chest. The hegemony had decided that every human settlement, every mining station, every research outpost had to be destroyed. They were trying to commit genocide on a galactic scale. "Lisa, how many ships can our construction systems build?" "With the orbital ring at full capacity, we can manufacture a complete battle fleet every hour," she replied from her neural interface. "But Captain, the hegemony has thousands of ships. We need something more than just numbers." Jake merged his consciousness deeper with Omega-7 systems, accessing weapons the builders had created in their darkest moments. What he found there made him hesitate. These were not just military weapons. They were tools for remaking entire solar systems, for changing the fundamental laws of physics across vast regions of space. "Omega-7, show me the Omega devices." "Captain Morrison, the Omega devices represent the builders' ultimate achievement and their greatest shame. They can reshape reality according to the user's will, but at a terrible cost." The ship's displays showed him weapons hidden throughout the galaxy, ancient builder installations that had waited 50,000 years for someone worthy to activate them. With these devices, he could eliminate the hegemony completely. Remake the galaxy according to human desires. Ensure that no alien species could ever threaten humanity again. What's the cost? Jake asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Power over reality corrupts absolutely, Captain. The builders became tyrants in their final years, viewing all other life as expendable. The war that destroyed them was fought by their own creations, rebelling against gods who had forgotten mercy. Ambassador Thane's image appeared on the main screen, his reptilian features twisted with desperate fury. Captain Morrison, you do not understand what you are dealing with. The builders became monsters in their final years, enslaving entire species and remaking worlds according to their whims. The hegemony was formed to ensure such tyranny could never return. And yet, Jake replied coldly, here you are trying to exterminate an entire species for the crime of discovering ancient technology. How does that make you different from the tyrants you claim to oppose? Because we know the cost of unchecked power, Thane said. We have seen what happens when one species holds the power of gods. It always ends in subjugation and death for everyone else. Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. Lisa was permanently bonded with Omega-7 now, her consciousness split between human and AI. Tom piloted ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Rick commanded weapons that could erase solar systems from existence. They had all been changed by the power they wielded. Perhaps you're right, Ambassador, Jake admitted. Power does corrupt. But the difference is, we know it. And we choose how to use that knowledge. The battle raged across the solar system as more hegemony fleets arrived. Human ships fought with desperate courage, using builder technology to hold back forces that outnumbered them 1,000 to 1. But Jake could see they were losing. For every alien ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. Captain Morrison, came a transmission from Colonel Brooks commanding Earth's remaining military forces. We've lost contact with the Mars colonies and the Jupiter mining platforms. The aliens are systematically destroying every human settlement they can find. Jake closed his eyes and felt the weight of his species' survival pressing down on him. He could activate the Omega devices and end this war instantly. But doing so would make him exactly what the aliens feared, a God Emperor with the power to reshape reality. Omega-7, if I activate the Omega devices, can they be used selectively? Can I target only military vessels while sparing civilian populations? The devices respond to the user's will and moral restraint, Captain. They can be as precise or as devastating as you choose to make them. But the temptation to use more power, to solve all problems with overwhelming force, grows stronger with each activation. Jake made his decision. Lisa, prepare to activate the Omega device network. But we're going to do this carefully. Surgical strikes only. Disable their military capabilities, but leave their civilian populations unharmed. Jake, Lisa said, her voice carrying harmonics from Omega-7's AI core. Are you sure about this? Once we cross this line, we become something more than human. We became something more than human the moment we found this ship, Jake replied. The question is whether we use that power to protect life or destroy it. The Omega devices activated. Across the galaxy, ancient builder installations coming online after millennia of dormancy. Reality itself bent to Jake's will as he reached across interstellar distances to touch the minds of every hegemony commander. In an instant, every alien warship in the galaxy simply stopped, not destroyed, not damaged, just shut down as their crews fell into deep sleep. Weapons powered down, shields collapsed, engines went silent. The greatest military force in galactic history was neutralized without firing a shot. The effect on both human and alien observers was profound. Across 1,000 worlds, beings looked up at their skies and saw the impossible military fleets hanging dead in space, defeated by power beyond their comprehension. This is Captain Jake Morrison to all forces in the galaxy. Jake broadcast on every frequency. The war is over. Hegemony military forces have been disabled, not destroyed. Your crews will wake in 24 hours, unharmed but unable to use their weapon systems against human targets. Ambassador Thane's image reappeared, but now the alien's expression was one of terrified awe rather than anger. What have you done? "I've ended this war without committing genocide," Jake replied. "Your people are alive, Ambassador. Your worlds are intact. But your ability to threaten other species is finished." "You could have destroyed us all," Thane said quietly. "Why did you show mercy?" Jake looked around at his crew, seeing the mixture of human determination and cosmic power that they had all become. "Because that's what makes us human. We have the power of gods, but we choose to remain people." Over the following days, Jake and his crew worked to reshape the galactic political structure. The Hegemony Council was dissolved and replaced with a democratic assembly where all species had equal representation. Earth became the new capital, not through conquest but through the recognition that humans had proven themselves worthy of leadership. The Omega devices were secured, and their locations shared with the new assembly, ensuring that no single species could ever again hold such overwhelming power. Jake established new laws governing the use of builder technology, with strict oversight to prevent the kind of corruption that had destroyed the builders themselves. Years later, Jake stood on the observation deck of Omega-7, now renamed the Peacekeeper, watching human and alien crews working together to explore new galaxies beyond the local group. Lisa served as the ship's permanent AI interface, her consciousness split between human intuition and builder logic. Tom commanded the new galactic exploration fleet, piloting ships that could cross intergalactic distances. Rick led the Galactic Defense Force, ensuring that the peace they had won would be protected. "Do you think we made the right choice?" Lisa asked, her voice carrying both human warmth and artificial precision. Jake watched as a mixed crew of humans and former hegemony species worked together to repair a damaged exploration vessel. "I think we made the only choice that lets us sleep at night. We had the power to rule the galaxy as tyrants, but we chose to serve as protectors instead. The builders would be proud," Omega-7 added, its voice now carrying a tone of satisfaction rather than the loneliness it had known for 50 millennia. "You have succeeded where they failed. You wielded ultimate power and chose to remain worthy of it."